up, ladies, gentlemen, YouTube? That's right. I am Chris Smith, and today I'm going to be reviewing an awesome documentary called What Happened, Miss Simone. What Happened, Miss Simone? It is pretty much the story of Nina Simone, which is a fantastic singer, artist, civil rights activist, whatever you want to call her. She a rebel, if you want to even throw that in there. Pretty much what I loved about this documentary. Now, if you didn't know, I am a fan of Nina Simone. I have most of her hits. Me particularly, if I had to just like throw out some, obviously "Feeling Good" is one of her more out there songs. Don't let me be misunderstood. The list can go on and on. But this is about her documentary, pretty much. Now let's get this out the way. Some good things that I really enjoyed about this episode was not episode. I'm bugging. I'm sleepy. But some things that I really enjoyed about this documentary was because it showcased her life, right? We show her early life, and you realize that she really had a tough lifestyle, growing up. And that's like most musicians, pretty much, where as a kid, she used to play the piano. She still did as her career went on. But, she felt isolated from, the black community and the white community, because for the black and whites, anytime they really wanted her to kind of be with them, it wasn't like to play or to talk or have fun, to go to a party, whatever. It was pretty much just to play the piano. And she felt like she was just like a dancing monkey. You'd be like, dance, monkey, dance. So that was a very interesting to kind of hear her to be like, these kids, even the black ones, really, she felt that she never really fit in with any of the people. And, that's a sad thing to hear, really. But obviously she grew up to a very much more mature and wise woman eventually later on. Some things also in here that we kind of touch upon is how, most, Nina Simone, it was tiring being Nina Simone. Like how some actors or whatever, they have a stage persona, but when they're at home, they are somebody completely different. They're a real person. But for Nina Simone was who she was on that stage 24/7, day in and day out. That was not an act. That was not nothing. But unfortunately, being Nina Simone also kind of ate up her life. It was eating at her because she had to be always on, kind of like how Robin Williams was always on when he's doing comedy. He never stopped. But unfortunately, sadly, that may have been also what caused some of the problems in his life. So that I understood where that was coming from, where, you have to be always that person that people expect of you, but that can also be tiring where you just don't want to do that all the time. Unfortunately. Now, Nina Simone wasn't necessarily she wasn't the biggest Hollywood bombshell. She wasn't the typical beauty, but what made her attractive, what made her sexy was like her voice, her passion, her spirit, her personality, her badass rebelliousness. She was a chick that, never, took no for an answer, but particularly she, always was, never afraid to speak her mind. But sadly, that also was kind of a problem in her world. Now, you see in this documentary, and they do a good job at saying that, she thought that in this documentary, particularly what I saw, was that she thought that, getting to the top was the difficult part. But really, it was staying at the top, or being at the top pretty much full circle. Because when you are at the top, you're under the microscope. People are looking at you. They're expecting you to do something. When you're rising up, nobody really pays too much of attention to you, per se. But once you're in that limelight, once you're in that spotlight, people are going to judge you on anything you say, do, or are with. Anybody you're with, anything can be judged. And it's a fortunate thing, but that's how the music industry works. They would spit you out if they really, especially back then, because, it was a very hard and, abrupt time, especially during the segregation and civil rights and whatnot. Now, she eventually did become a civil rights activist, and do that, it was very interesting to see how she met, like, Dr. King, and she said straight up to Dr. King, which I thought was ballsy, that, she is not nonviolent. She is a violent person. She was, like I said, she's a badass, where she was just, like, saying that, I believe that us black people should have our rights given to us at any means necessary. If it means capturing violence, then so be it. But if it means that we finally get what we deserve, our freedom or whatever it may be, our way of life, then so be it. So telling Dr. King that was ballsy. She used the civil rights movement to get her feelings and her messages across through her music. And she touched upon how, what's the point of having like this voice and the way to kind of speak to the world if you're not going to kind of spread a message as to what is going on around you. And sadly, when she kind of became a bit political as to what is going on, she pretty much, her career kind of slightly took a turn for the worse. It went down. Her TV performances were not there. Nobody really wanted to be around her. Her political songs weren't really selling well, and sadly, that was the problem. Where because you see like people like Gladys Knight or whatever. No offense to Gladys Knight, but she was like the politically correct monkey, where she was afraid to kind of say what was going on, but Nina Simone wasn't, and she stuck to her guns. And yes, her career kind of went down the tubes a bit, but she stuck to her. And I think anybody can really resonate to sticking to your guns and making your word known to the world. And it's a sad thing when the world or white America given. I don't want to sound like that guy, Black Power, but for the most part, where these people kind of come from, you have to realize that in a black world where somebody's like telling the truth, I think it's sad that they rather have them shut up and stop talking about this racism or this killing of white on black crime or whatever, and instead they just want you to kind of do your job and be the monkey and play your song and shut up. When somebody speaks the truth is the thing people are the most afraid of, really. That I think that's just sad to hear. But eventually she crawled her way back, and I like that they showed this in the documentary, that they showed that she clawed her way back. She made that second comeback for one last run before, sadly, her untimely death in 2003. This documentary, it does a great job at showcasing her life. She had a tough lifetime. She was rebellious. She did a fantastic job in anything she was. Her voice was great. One thing I did kind of have to say as a negative in this documentary is, and it's not much because I really did enjoy this documentary, was they didn't really showcase too much of her songs, right? She has a lot of great hits and a lot of awesome songs, but for me personally, I think they could have at least touched upon some of her hits and, kind of what went behind it. Because, like me, what I like is that, when you hear a song, right, you like that song regardless, but maybe you may not get the message, but when you hear, like, an interview or whatever, what was the story behind it, what was the pain, what was the suffering behind that song, you enjoy that song more because you start to feel that emotion that came through, and that's what made it awesome. Any type of song. Now if you listen to any of her music, the emotion and the sadness came through almost all her songs. Mississippi, the Mississippi grind. I think I forgot what it was. Shit, but Mississippi. The song Mississippi. I forgot what it was. And I hate that. But yeah, she does a great job. Great job. She has a whole bunch of songs that you should look up. Go ahead and look them up on YouTube. Check out her albums. You won't be disappointed. I personally like, the classical music or the old school music because I feel like I'm one of those older souls where I don't really relate too much to most of the songs out there now. I'm not a Nene fan, or I'm not a Future fan, or I'm not hip with Soulja Boy, whatever the kids are listening to these days. But yeah, that like I said, go watch this documentary. I don't think you will be disappointed. If you're a fan of history, Black History Month's coming up. If you're a fan of history, you're a fan of old school music, or if you're just a fan of music just in general, go ahead, watch the documentary. It's a good documentary. Regardless of if you know anything about it, I think it would inspire you to look up some of her work. Like I said, the only negative I would say is that they didn't really showcase her hits, really. They didn't talk too much about some of her bigger songs. I would have liked to have seen that, but that didn't take away anything from the documentary. I think it was very well made. It's, I think, my pick for best documentary of the year, and I say it should be nominated for an Oscar. But one last thing, leave you off. What is your favorite Nina Simone song? If you don't know who Nina Simone is, then go ahead and look it up and maybe come back to this video. But yeah, go ahead. Some things you can look up. My personal favorites: "Feeling Good," "Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood," "Centerman," the remix version from Miami Vice. "Come Give Me Some," or "Give Me Some," that's also remixed. And, the list can go on. It's a whole bunch of great songs. It touches upon a life. It's an awesome documentary. I give it a, I'm about to forget my own words. But it's a fantastic documentary. I pretty much just say it is, the cream of the crop, pretty much. It's great. It may not be for everybody, maybe if you don't like this type of music, but that doesn't change the fact. It's awesome. I'm Chris Smith. I'm signing out. Comment, subscribe, like. Help me. I don't know. For signing out. Subscribe, please.